Imagine this, you're at the most glamorous party of the year, surrounded by glittering lights, champagne flowing like water, and everyone who's anyone rubbing shoulders. But you're there alone, feeling like an outsider in your own life. That's when she walks in, stunning, confident, the kind of woman who turns heads without even trying. She's your escort for the night, hired to make you look good. Everything's going perfectly until she leans in close, her breath warm against your ear, and whispers, "My age isn't a problem, right?" Your heart stops. What does she mean? Is this the start of something real, or a disaster waiting to unfold? I froze right there in the middle of the crowded ballroom, the music pulsing around us like a heartbeat. Her name was Elena, and she was everything I wasn't. Vibrant, fearless, with eyes that sparkled like the city lights outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. I'd hired her through an upscale service because, at 42, my life had become a monotonous grind of board meetings and empty apartments. My wife had left me 5 years ago, taking our daughter with her, and I'd buried myself in work to forget the pain. But tonight was different. It was the annual corporate gala, and showing up solo would have been social suicide. So, Elena was my shield, my pretend date. Or so I thought. As we mingled, her arm linked through mine, she laughed at my lame jokes and charmed the executives like she'd been born into this world. But that whisper, it hung in the air like a storm cloud. Was she younger than she looked? The service had assured me she was 28, but now doubt crept in. I glanced at her, trying to read her expression, but she just smiled mysteriously and pulled me onto the dance floor. The night was young, and so was she, or was she? My mind raced. What if this was all a setup? What if she was hiding something bigger? We danced under the chandeliers, her body moving in perfect sync with mine, and for a moment, I forgot about the whisper. She told me stories about her travels, backpacking through Europe, volunteering in remote villages, and I shared bits of my past, the dreams I'd abandoned for a corner office. It felt real, too real for a paid arrangement. As the song ended, she looked up at me with those piercing green eyes and said, "Alex, life's too short for regrets. Don't you think?" I nodded, but inside, turmoil brewed. Who was she really? And why did her words feel like they were peeling back layers I'd long sealed away? The party dragged on, and we found a quiet corner balcony overlooking the city skyline. The cool night air was a relief from the stuffy room inside. Elena sipped her wine, her gaze distant. "You know," she began softly, "I didn't take this job just for the money. I saw your profile, the successful CEO who's lost his spark. It reminded me of my dad." My stomach twisted. Her dad? Was that a hint? I pressed her gently. "What about your age? Why bring it up?" She hesitated, biting her lip, and then leaned in again. "Because I'm not 28, Alex. I'm 22. The world tilted. 22? That made her young enough to be my daughter. How had the service messed this up? Or had they? Panic surged through me. What if someone found out? My reputation, my career, it could all crumble. But before I could respond, she added, "And there's more. I'm not who you think I am at all." Cliffhanger 1, her eyes filled with tears as she turned away, leaving me standing there, heart pounding, wondering what secret could possibly be worse than this. I pulled her back gently, my voice a whisper. "Elena, talk to me. What's going on?" She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. "My real name is Sophia. Elena is just my stage name for these gigs. And I'm not just an escort, I'm a college student, studying psychology. I do this to pay for school because my family's broke after my mom got sick." The pieces started falling into place, but not all of them. She was young, yes, but driven by necessity, not choice. I felt a pang of empathy. I'd been there once, scraping by in my early 20s, working odd jobs to fund my ambitions. But the age gap loomed like a chasm. "Why me?" I asked. "Why whisper that tonight?" She smiled sadly. "Because from the moment we met, it didn't feel like a job. You're kind, Alex. Not like the others. And I like you." But I had to be honest before things went further. We talked for hours on that balcony, the party fading into background noise. Sophia opened up about her life, the pressure of being the first in her family to go to college, the fear of failing her mom who was battling cancer back home. I shared my own scars. The divorce that shattered me, the custody battle I lost because I was always at work, the regret of missing my daughter's milestones. For the first time in years, I felt seen, not as the powerful executive, but as a man carrying invisible weights. As the clock struck midnight, she touched my hand. "Age is just a number, Alex. What matters is connection." I wanted to believe her, but doubt lingered. Could this really work? Or was I setting myself up for heartbreak? The next morning, I woke up in my hotel suite, alone but replaying the night in my mind. Sophia had left with a promise to text me her real number. I stared at my phone, debating whether to reach out. Part of me screamed to walk away. This was complicated, messy. She was 22, I was 42. Society would judge us harshly. But another part, the one that had felt alive for the first time in ages, urged me forward. I typed a simple message, "Coffee today?" Her reply came instantly, "I'd love that." We met at a quiet cafe downtown, away from prying eyes. She looked different in daylight, jeans and a sweater, her hair in a ponytail, no makeup. More real, more vulnerable. Over lattes, we delved deeper. She told me about her dreams of becoming a therapist, helping people like her mom who struggled with illness and loss. I confessed my fears of growing old alone, of having built an empire but no legacy of love. It was cathartic, like shedding old skin. But as we laughed about shared tastes in music, both fans of classic rock, a shadow crossed her face. "Alex, there's something else I need to tell you. About why I really took this job." My pulse quickened. "What now?" She glanced around, lowering her voice. "I'm not just paying for school. My mom's treatments are experimental, not covered by insurance. I need the money fast, or she'll." Her voice broke. "Cliffhanger too." She trailed off, tears streaming, as a man in a suit approached our table, his face stern. "Sophia? We need to talk. Now." I stood up instinctively, protective. "Who are you?" The man ignored me, focusing on her. "I'm her brother, Mark." "And you? You're the guy from last night?" Sophia nodded, wiping her tears. "Alex, this is my overprotective brother. He found out about my side job and tracked me here." Mark glared at me. "She's 22, man. What are you thinking? This ends now." The cafe suddenly felt too small, eyes turning our way. I tried to explain, it wasn't what it looked like, we were just talking, but Mark wasn't having it. He grabbed her arm gently. "Come on, sophomore, mom needs you home." She looked torn, her eyes pleading with me as she was pulled away. "I'll call you," she mouthed. That encounter shook me to my core. I spent the afternoon pacing my office, ignoring calls from work. Was Mark right? Was I deluding myself? The age difference wasn't just numbers. It came with baggage, family disapproval, societal stares, my own insecurities about keeping up with someone so young and full of life. But Sophia's vulnerability, her strength in the face of adversity, mirrored my own buried resilience. I decided I couldn't let fear win. That evening, I drove to the address she'd mentioned once, her family's modest home on the outskirts of the city. Knocking on the door felt like jumping off a cliff. Her mom answered, frail but warm, with Sophia's eyes. You must be Alex. Come in. Inside, the house was cozy, filled with photos of happier times. Sophia was in the kitchen, surprised but relieved to see me. Mark lurked in the background, arms crossed. We all sat down, and I laid it out. I cared about Sophia, not as a fling, but genuinely. I offered to help with her mom's treatments, not as a handout, but because I had resources and wanted to. Mark softened a bit when I shared my story of loss. I get it, he said finally. But if you hurt her, you're done. Sophia squeezed my hand under the table. It was a start, a fragile bridge over the chasm. Months passed, and our relationship blossomed amid challenges. The first big hurdle was going public. At a company event, I introduced her as my girlfriend, bracing for whispers. They came, of course, she's half his age. But Sophia handled it with grace, turning heads not just with her beauty but her intelligence. She debated business strategies with my colleagues, proving she was more than arm candy. Emotionally, we navigated my lingering divorce pain. She encouraged me to reconnect with my daughter, Lily, now 15. Our first meeting was awkward. Lily eyed Sophia suspiciously, but over time, they bonded over shared interests like art and books. Seeing them laugh together healed a part of me I thought was broken forever. Another challenge hit when Sophia's mom's health declined. We spent nights at the hospital, holding hands through the fear. I used my connections to get her into a better trial program, and slowly, she improved. It tested us, sleepless nights, emotional exhaustion, but it brought us closer. Sophia taught me to live in the moment, to chase joy instead of success. I showed her the value of stability, of building something lasting. Our age difference became a strength. Her youthful energy rekindled my passion for life, while my experience grounded her dreams. One evening, as we walked along the riverfront where we'd had our first real date, Sophia stopped and turned to me. Alex, remember that whisper at the party? I nodded, smiling. It was the best risk I ever took. She pulled out a small box, a simple ring. Will you marry me? My heart swelled. At 43 now, with her at 23, the world might still judge, but we didn't care. We'd faced the storms and come out stronger. Our wedding was intimate, surrounded by family, my daughter as bridesmaid, her mom walking her down the aisle, beaming with health. Mark even gave a toast, admitting he'd been wrong. Life wasn't perfect, we still dealt with occasional doubts and external pressures. But we resolved them with open hearts and honest talks. Sophia graduated, starting her therapy practice, and I scaled back work to mentor young entrepreneurs, inspired by her drive. Looking back, that party was the pivot point. What started as a hired escort became the love of my life, proving that connections defy labels. Age, backgrounds, past mistakes, they're just hurdles if you're willing to jump. The inspiring message? Don't let fear dictate your story. Embrace the unexpected, fight for what feels right, and you'll find beauty in the chaos. Life's too short for what-ifs. If you enjoyed this emotional roller coaster, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that touch the soul. Thanks for watching.